Hello students, this is Latif sir. Today I'll discuss about different types of separation techniques of a mixture. In the previous video, I have told about some types of separation techniques. Today I'll continue the same topic. Okay, before start, I want to mention you one thing that when I taught you the first chapter, I have not given the exercise question and answer of first chapter. Today I'll give the first chapter exercise question and answer of the first chapter. Okay, so let's start to the topic. The first method of separation today I will discuss, which is centrifugation. So what is centrifugation? To understand centrifugation, you have to understand one example. The example is that take a thread and tie a pencil at its one end. Then holding the other end in your hand, rotate the pencil in a circle. Then what you will see? You will experience that the pencil tends to tends to pull away from your hand by a force. You will see that the pencil tends to pull away from your hands by a force, and this force is called centrifugal force. And this centrifugal force is more for denser object, and this centrifugal force is less for lighter object. And you have to remember that you will feel the centrifugal force only when you are moving on a circular path. Okay, the principle of centrifugal force can be used to separate heavy solute particle from light particles of a solution. The principle of centrifugal force can be used to separate solid particles from light particles of a solution. What is the process of centrifugation? You have to place the solution in a tube in an apparatus which is called centrifuge. Hmm. Then the tube is rotated at a very high speed. Then what you will see? You will see that the denser particles of the solution move away from the axis of rotation and get separated from the solvent. Example of centrifugation: churning of milk to separate cream and butter. Churning of milk to separate cream and butter from it is an example of centrifugation. This method is also used in squeezing out water to dry clothes in a washing machine. Okay, so these are example of centrifugation. Higher speed higher speed centrifugation is used in separating blood cell, and still higher speed for separating viruses from a blood sample. Okay, these are example of centrifugation. You have to remember the principle and the examples, application of these methods. Okay, procedures are not required for exams, but you have to remember the principle of each separation technique with examples. Okay, now separating liquid mixtures, that is separation of mixture of two or more liquids. The components of a liquid mixture can be separated by using a separating funnel or by fractional distillation. So using these two method, you can separate out a liquid mixture. First method of separation of a liquid mixture is separating funnel, using separating funnel. Hmm. So using separating funnel, you can separate out a mixture of two or more immiscible liquids. Okay, using separating funnel, you can only separate out two immiscible liquids. A mixture of immiscible liquids, that is emulsion, Emulsion means mixture of water in oil or oil in water. Huh. These are immiscible liquids. Can be separated using a separating funnel. The separation of emulsion is based on the principle that the lighter liquid floats above the heavier liquids. You know that the lighter liquid always floats over the heavier liquids, and this is the separating. This figure is this is separating funnel, huh. And this entire figure shows that the separation of a liquid-liquid mixture by using separating funnel. Okay, so a separating funnel, what is separating funnel? Separating funnel is a glass bulb with a tap which is called stopcock. You can see here it is written separating funnel, stopcock. Okay, and the stopcock is used to control the flow of liquids. To separate an emulsion, put into the mixture is put into a separating funnel, and then you have to allow to settle. After some time, the liquids form separate layers, one above the other. The liquid forming the lower layer is collected in a container by opening the stopcock. The stopcock is closed after the liquid has been collected completely, and then the liquid forming the upper layer is collected in similar manner in another container. A mixture containing oil and water can be separated by using this method. Okay. Now next method is fractional distillation. Using this method, you can separate the mixture of two miscible liquids, that is liquids that mix with each other. So a mixture of miscible liquids, that is liquids that mix with each other, can be separated by fractional distillation. This method works on the principle that different liquid have different boiling point. You know that every liquid has a different boiling point, and using this principle, and you can separate out a mixture of two miscible liquids. And the um, the this figure shows that the fractional distillation process, that is separation of two mixable liquids using a distillation flask, a fractionating column, and a thermometer, condenser. So this entire figure, this is a laboratory setup of fractional distillation. In this method, you have to put the mixture in a distillation flask. Then you have to heat the distillation flask by a burner. What you will see when you heat the mixture, as the mixture begin to boil, the vapor rise up into the fractionating column. The temperature across the column varies. The temperature across the column varies. It is higher at the bottom and lower at the top. The vapor of the component with higher boiling point condense at the bottom of the fractionating column. You have to remember the vapor of components with a higher boiling point condense at the bottom of the fractionating column, and the vapor of the component with lower boiling point rise to the top of the fractionating column. The vapor of the component with a lower boiling point rise to the top of the fractionating column, and then these vapors are then allowed to pass into a condenser. where they cool down to form a liquid, and this liquid is then collected in a container. And this method is used in oil refineries to separate crude oil into various useful substances such as petrol, diesel, kerosene, and other fuels. And this method can also be used to separate alcohol from water, huh, because alcohol has lower boiling point than water. Okay, so how to separate a mixture of two miscible liquid? The answer is using fractional method of fractional distillation. And in all types of method of separation, you have to remember the basic principle and examples. Okay.